long and lonesome journey to the great awakening. We thought we were going to be free. Now we realized the ones we're waiting for is you and me. People say we're crazy, but they're just fast asleep. Each one that awakens is now waiting on the leap into the unknown, but I know it gets much better than right here. Here I am, standing in my power again. Here I stand, uncovering the truth again. Turn the page, it's a new chapter, and it says where we go on, we go on. And it says where we go on, we go on.
Hello, everybody. Just hang tight with me for 1 minute. I'm running into more storms here. I don't know what the hell is going on, but just bear with us for 1 second. All right, let's see here. So I'm apparently there's some issues with Lewis getting on board here, and also Ishmael. So hang in there, you guys. I'm going to, if I could tap dance, I would. But let me just try to get some information out to everybody. Oh, okay, great, he found it. All right. So what I wanted to let everybody know is that the co-host, my co-host, Lewis Hanshaw, did log in about 5 minutes ago. He can't find a Wi-Fi connection. As most of you may know or may not know, he has been traveling across Europe. He's boots on the ground. He was just in France to see what was, if anything, was happening out in France. And so he didn't land in a good spot with the internet as we were hoping to tonight. And but we will catch him. I think on Thursday noontime he'll be back in to the TTP family. But in the meantime, I am so excited, you guys. I've got two beautiful souls here tonight. I know all of you are jumping in here. Hello, Rumble. How's everyone doing in Rumble? And hello, YouTube. I'm on 2 channels on YouTube. I am on a very small channel called Turn the Page 2.0, which is basically a refurbished of the original. And also Energy Healing and Truth is where all of you, the TTP family community is today. So without any further ado, I want to I'm going to bring in Ishmael and Michelle, or otherwise known as Mickey, for all of you. You say tomato, I say tomato, but it doesn't matter. We see one beautiful soul, and that is Michelle. And let me just bring them in now. They're both in the green room. Okay, you guys, put down your glasses of wine now. I'm going to bring you in, okay? Hello. How are you?
What a surprise. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Ishmael. How are you?
I'm well. And hi, Janine. First time meeting you. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Ishmael. It's a pleasure meeting you also. And, I brought in Mickey, if you will, because I always known her as Mickey. And in my heart, she's always Mickey. But I brought her in because she is on the same level as you are. And she's going to be able to just explain as much as possible about wherever you guys want to go. I want to get caught up with Ishmael first because I've had Michelle on my show many, many times about many different topics. She's like me, a cornucopia of information, right? We dive into one thing and then we pop up is another thing, but it's all good information. It's all spiritual information. But Ishmael, I want to know a lot more about you. I know you are an author and a speaker and very spiritual. What could you share with the people in the TTP family here tonight that maybe you haven't shared anywhere else?
Well, there's a lot that I could share, but the most important thing is just to not lose the faith and the hope in God's plan. We do live in a conscious universe, first and foremost, and there is a plan that is a divine plan that is being orchestrated not just by members of the Earth Alliance, but by cosmic entities that see this Earth really as the most important planet in all of the universes for various reasons. I have mentioned before that not only is Earth a living cosmic library, but the Earth is also the physical embodiment of the Mother Goddess Sophia. And it's important to know that despite what the Mockingbird media uh, projects, and despite what the negative rumors have been, saying, um, we are living in the most exciting times ever, and we just have to keep the faith and never lose your hope. Never always trust in a divine plan, because this earth is meant to take her rightful place in the cosmos very, very soon. We are going to live to see this transition. It's going to happen in our lifetimes very, very soon. We're not going to taste death. Our bodies are going to be transfigured, just like Enoch um, did in the Old Testament. Our bodies are going to be changing in the blink of an eye. We're going to be going from a carbon-based genetic structure into a crystalline-based genetic structure, and we're going to go from limited consciousness into full awareness. And we're all going to be tapped in once again to the natural, to the organic way of life, to nature, the elements, the God force, the God source, however you want to call it, to our higher self, our Holy Christ higher self. It's all going to come back. The memories of who we were before we became human, all that stuff is coming back to us. This is a time to no longer be consulting with mediums or psychics. This is the time to really go deep within yourself and begin to consult with your higher divine self, because the clutches are off, guys. The clutches are off. This is it. Every single one of us has a Holy Christ higher self that wants to connect with your lower self or your third dimensional avatar. And so this is the time to really become aware that each and every single one of you is your own savior. Stop expecting external saviors. No one's going to do it for us. You have to step up and become that person that you expect to see, to become that version of yourself that everyone's been talking about. So this is a time to really just step into our power.
If I could just add to that, Ishmael, I know what you're saying, because I've been sensing it too. Not only that, I know my intuition is so much more heightened, and what I actually am doing, and maybe either you or Mickey could address this, is that I'm weeding out what's mine and what's not mine. I'm picking up different energies, and I'm very much more conscious of, okay, I just passed somebody in the store there. That's not mine. And you know what? I'm also sensing my emotional aspect of myself. So if I'm picking that up, I also have to determine if it's not mine to just, tell it to go on its way, if you will. That's where I think you're talking about the beginning of the level of the consciousness, is what we're feeling, other energies, and then it just starts to go into higher levels of consciousness. Is that correct? Michelle, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think that it's important to start to understand that through quantum physics, there are multiple versions of you. And then your oversoul understands all those different timelines and versions of you that are possible. So at any given time, you're choosing based on your choices every day to take on a new timeline. And so what I've started to do is just ask every morning for God's highest and greatest. Just give me your highest and greatest. I'd just rather be on that, and then I let the intuition drive me. And so I have opened up that dialogue with my 5D self, and I've asked her for the intuition, because she's my oversoul. She knows all aspects of me, and she knows all influences. So if you think of yourself as almost like a receiver, a transmitter and a receiver, you're constantly transmitting messages out to the universe. The universe is constantly accepting or declining your transfers. And so you're constantly sending out these photons, these wave offerings. And when they're accepted and you are walking in agreement with what's being offered to you, you literally just accept it and bring it in. So when I ask for God's highest and greatest, and I get an intuition or just any kind of a feedback from the universe about what's opening up to me, and then I walk into acceptance and agreement with that, I then create that in my reality, because we live in a consciousness reality. So I want to just talk really quick what I've learned recently. I think everyone should know this, because there's levels of belief, there's levels of understanding. So the first level I would say is prayer, because we really weren't ever taught truly how to pray. That's almost like a feeling of begging, like, oh, please, God, just give me this, versus, oh, I accept. Do you know what I mean? The next level would be hoping, like, oh, please, I hope we're being saved. I hope, right? But that would maybe yield. So the praying, I'm just being honest, I don't want to offend anybody, but if you're in a state of begging, you're not really in a state of resonance. You're not feeling and believing what's being given to you. So I'd say you're going to get about 5% return if you're in a state of just, please, God, give me this, you know?
If I could interrupt you there, if somebody is at a really low point and they're begging for help, is that the same thing as what you're saying, begging for in a prayer? Do you understand that question?
Well, I just think that maybe we've been a little misguided in how to pray efficiently. You know what I mean? It's not really an activeness. It's more, and I don't know if you agree with me in this, Ishmael, but if you're in a state of, please give me this from the universe, you're not actually in a state of acceptance and resonance with the actual outcome that you're seeking. So you're still sort of in a state of lack. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you enter in a state of hope, you're not really in a state of lack, but you're still in a state of like, oh, I really hope I'm worthy of this. I hope I can reach this resonance. I hope this will happen eventually, right? But if you take that a step further and you enter into belief, you know, you believe it will happen to you. You know it will happen. Again, I think now you're probably more like 25% you're going to bring it into reality. But then when you enter into the knowing, you know it's going to happen. You know this is just a matter of time. You know you're about to draw it in. Now you're entering into a much greater, stronger stance. Now you're at 50%. But if you enter into remembrance or maybe even celebration, you're celebrating the outcome that you know is being made available to you. Now you're in the state of resonance. You're in a state of full-fledged capacity. And I think if we can get the light workers to start operating in the celebration of having already received what has been promised, what is coming to us, that we can already see and intuitively tell is part of God's highest and greatest timeline for us, then we as a collective will draw it in even faster. Like, I don't think people realize we are a part of the timeline.
Yeah. And I totally understand that, what you were saying about, you know, the Native Americans. From what I study a lot of Native American, their ways, if you will. But when they are in the desert, if you will, they don't ask or pray for water. They are grateful for having the water. If there's lacking rain, they're already grateful for it raining, and then they get their abundance of what that is that they need. That's what we, you know, and you know, it's interesting because I always, it's the part of the visualization that you've done so many shows and talks about. Now Mickey's taking it to the next level to basically explain it in a prayer. Ishmael, what do you have to say about that?
I think Michelle hit it on the bullseye. I think what she said is pretty much the heart and the core of what they call the law of attraction, because it's all about resonance. It's all about getting into that emotional state of already feeling as if you have already achieved or received whatever it is that we are desiring. And I think it was great Braden who put that to the test with, again, the Native American cultures. Yeah. And we can learn so much from these Native American cultures who could literally manipulate the weather, make it rain when they need crops, you know, make it stop rain when they are getting too much water. Because it's all in the what, in the, like Michelle said, feeling it, celebrating as if you've already achieved it. And I think that's the greatest secret in relationship to the law of resonance, is already being in that state, in that vibrational match that will allow you to receive and manifest whatever it is that your heart desires. So yeah. First and foremost, you know, we are living in a universe that is resonating, that is, you know, that implements frequencies. And so our emotional state of being is what generates the frequencies. And I think that as long as we understand that it's all about a vibrational match, we could, you know, literally move mountains. And I think that even Joshua himself, the great master Jesus himself, explained that to his apostles. When they asked him, Master, um, where is the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus replied, well, it's not by expectation. It's not in a far off, lofty place. It is all around us, but people don't see it. And what he was trying to imply was that you have to emotionally resonate as if you are already living in the kingdom of heaven to really experience, fifth dimensional reality. And I
Yeah.
think this is something that all the masters, all the greatest spiritual adepts, mystics have really known for centuries, or I guess for millenniums. But this information is now available to everyone now.
Mhm.
So, like I said earlier, it's important to know this, but it's also more important to put it into practice. Like Michelle said, cultivate daily prayer, and it doesn't have to be the religious. There's different forms of prayer. You don't have to sit there on your knees and look up at the sky and do this. You could just sit there in your bed and literally begin to establish dialogue with the divine. And that is more effective than the religious way of asking for things, as opposed to just feeling it. So I agree.
No, I
Yeah,
think you bring up
by
such
the
a
way,
good
I
point.
used to study under Greg Braden back in the day when he had black hair. So yes, I had all of his books, and I got to meet him, and he's a beautiful soul, like both of you are. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, what he's saying is open the dialogue. It's something we were just never taught how to do. Like instead of prayer, well, and you can call it prayer, but go into the meditation and ask, what am I meant to learn today? What am I excited about today? What blessings are being offered to me today? Am I receiving them? Am I even noticing them? Or are they passing me by because we're in this matrix of chaos, right? And when you lower that chaos and you start to listen, it's almost like the blessings are so great you didn't even know how great they could be. They're that good. You know what I mean? We're usually blocking the blessings simply because we're not having that open dialogue, that we're not realizing that we're having an open communication with the universe all the time. And so then I started to really ask, and I think Ishmael's done the same. Well, so if I'm like a radio, who's talking to me now? What's this voice? And even Nikola Tesla talked about it. Like we never ask where the voice is coming from.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. So if you were to put it together a dialogue that you want to have, and in this dialogue or this protocol, it's going to be all the beautiful things. You got to be in a space of joy, gratitude, right, and so on and so forth. All the high vibrations. So I'm not telling anybody how to do it because it's going to be different for every individual out there. But you have to get into your space and feel whatever it is that you felt at the highest point in your 3D life to bring that into where you want to go with it. Am I correct or wrong on that, Ishmael?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and really, prayer doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it, in the morning, in the evening, or in the midday. You could actually pray while you're driving, while you're washing dishes, while you're taking your dog for a walk. We have to go beyond the conventional method of prayer, and we have to establish our own inner dialogue with the universe. Because, in a sense,
Funny that you say that because I feel more energy when things are moving. You talk about being in a car. You talk about even cutting your grass on a riding lawnmower, whatever it might be. Do you guys not sense that dialogue a lot better because the energy is moving within you?
I think we just surrendered into it. I think we became aware of it. And when you are ascending or when you're going through a rapture, it means becoming aware of divine things. So these were always voices in your head. You just never asked, wait, is this voice making me better? Huh, who am I talking to here? And then I realized, wait, I'm talking to my higher self. Now I'm making decisions on behalf of my higher self. So the more I integrate my higher self, the more I become operating in the 5D. And then I started realizing, I can also open a dialogue with God, and I can also open a dialogue with Jesus, and I can also open a dialogue with anyone else that I really want to connect with telepathically. And though they don't maybe realize I'm connecting with them, I am connecting to their unconscious or their subconscious. So there is a direct effect happening, right? I might just pop in their mind consciously, but the fact is I'm resolving issues with their higher self before I even talk to them, which means I'm now operating in a higher, more divine point of view.
Beautiful. Beautiful. How do you incorporate the chakras? Did you just think that they just automatically align? The vortexes start spinning. It's not something that I'm saying that you have to activate. I think once you get into that mind, spiritual, emotional body, that it just becomes one. Is that what you think? Either one of you?
Well, yeah, practice makes perfect. You know, the more we establish some sort of daily spiritual practice, whether it's meditation, whether it's mindfulness, and just being aware of the God self and the God energy all around us, um, you know, even experiencing it through a walk in the park, you know, looking at an ocean, the beauty of nature, all that is part of connecting with the higher power. You know, you don't necessarily have to think of it as just a person or one individual, but seeing it in nature and seeing it in all the beauty that surrounds us as we go per our, you know, about our day and stuff. So to me, it's just being mindful as well. You know, it's very connected to being in that state of gratitude and really just appreciating even the small things. So as long as you are in that state, you're always going to be receiving more blessings and more abundance. And the key is gratitude. You know, be grateful for even the small things that you have. You don't necessarily have to be wealthy. You could just be grateful for your health. You know, you could wake up in a state of gratitude and open up the doors of blessings constantly because you are just grateful for life in general. You know, we
Here's somebody that's grateful for all of us, and Susan is saying her heart is happy. Back to you, sweetheart. We love you also. Ishmael, I'm going to kind of go to a different subject here. I know you may have. Last time I saw you on another channel, you were speaking about. I think it was you were going to Mount Shasta, if I am correct. And correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have any news? Anything that you want to share about that?
Yes, that was a very magical experience for me. The moment I landed, I just felt that the frequency, the energy, vibrational fields were just different there. I had an opportunity to actually establish telepathic communication with the Talosians. And the Talosians have been, I guess they told me that they're getting ready to reunite with the surface world as we approach disclosure, as we get ready for first contact, because they were telling me that some of this aerial craft that we've been witnessing is not coming from ETs outside of our planetary system, but some of them are coming from the inner Earth societies as well as our own covert programs that we do have. So, and they were telling me that all this is prepping humanity as a collective for the events known as first contact. So they told me that it's going to happen very soon. You know, as more and more UFO sightings are being witnessed by millions and millions of people, it's going to be very hard for the government to conceal this truth. So the Talosians are very sacred, very a spiritual advanced civilization, and they've been kind of working from behind the scenes. They work closely with the Venusians, with Valiant Thor, in some of the galactic commanders, and they're all working together. And it's just a matter of time before they establish first contact with the surface Earth or the surface world with us, because we are raising the vibration, and they notice that. They said they were telling me that the more we raise the collective frequency of the planet, the more is everyone going to be ready to understand that there are civilizations within the inner Earth, as well as, you know, extraterrestrials that have been kind of living among us, but in secret. And that day's coming very short, very soon.
Michelle, do you want to give us any updates about where have you been? It's been a while since you've been here.
I know. I went inward. I think that my initial, I guess, evolution throughout this awakening process was to identify that, yes, there is divine intervention. All the stars are in perfect alignment. The story has played out just like the prophecies. And so then I could rest easy knowing we won. I needed to come into a state of peace resonance probably a few years ago so that I could start doing my inner work, which I would say I've been doing sort of my dark night of the soul, which is what Carl Jung would call your individualization process. So I went inward and I followed the trail of consciousness to unravel my own matrix, to come out of my own matrix, right? Because we all have been placed here. And there's really, if you think about how evil this cabal really was, there was a targeted narrative for just about every demographic throughout the world. You know, they've got us thinking a certain way. They've got us acting a certain way, right? So I really kind of went through, okay, where are all the thought, feeling, will, and emotions that are no longer serving me? And I literally spent 100% of my time and focus on unraveling those. So unraveling, okay, that was a negative thought. Was that from the matrix? Was that from childhood? Was that something that I'm repeating on purpose? And I started rewriting my matrix. I started rewriting my programming. So in help from my higher self, my more divine self, you know what I mean? Learning how to come out of the programming and reprogram so that there are no more thoughts, feelings, wills, or emotions being put back into the system, back into my life. I shift my own inner cosmos, my own inner matrix, which then starts shifting every relationship in my life, which then starts shifting the collective consciousness, right? So what we have to do now is start to realize that we are all perfect individual souls and that you have a trail of consciousness. Think of yourself as like a wound up ball of yarn. And before we needed ascended masters to take us on this journey, but now we can take ourselves. All you need is your own little space, your own little portal. You got to be able to control your energy and you just follow that divine consciousness. And I mean, there's a lot of tears. There are a lot of just moments where you're literally releasing pressure valves on what you've placed on yourself, pressure you've placed on yourself. So you just cry it out and then it's gone and it's gone forever. It's just gone. You're like, oh, wow, I'm much lighter now. You know, like I don't need to carry that burden anymore. So I really went through every blessing and every burden. And now I feel like I get to come back out rejuvenated. And now I get to, you know what I mean, project that back on the reality, which then creates a whole new mirror effect. Because it's all about observing. It's all about the observer effect. And like I said, he's saying, and I think this is perfect, Ishmael, that you're leading into this. I've heard it said different ways, and maybe this was always the case with our consciousness, but in the Atlantean, eras and so on, maybe we needed to go through gurus. But now we've been given the codes in this time-space reality to follow our own ascension, our own hero's journey. And everyone's hero's journey is going to unravel perfectly for them based on their conditioning in their lifetime, right? As they come out of mind control and, this matrix, it's really real. It's hard to break some of the programming. It's real. It's emotional, just the way we've been divided. Remember, everyone, this is a 1% global elite that divided all of us through narratives, just narratives. None of it serves us. And so we shouldn't be warring with anybody. So the truth that I understand now, and I kind of pulled this down on the 777 portal, which was 7/7/2023, was if we want to end duality in this world, the first thing that you have to do is surrender into their point of view. So when you surrender into any opposing point of view from where you're at, you can see how it got to where it got, and you can dissolve the duality and enter into a true state of Dharma, which would be pure peace, pure love, pure joy, pure peace. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. And I feel blessed. I feel lighter, I feel lighter. And I feel like now 100% of my focus is on gratitude. It's not just when I have time. It's not just 10% of my focus. It's all about percentages. That's all about how we bring these things into light. It's how much percentage of your time are you spending in stress, lack, or limitation versus abundance, gratitude, and celebration of what's to come.
Yes, and we have the choice. We have the choice to either be in either state. So, this is the time to step into our abundance, into our power, on our sovereignty. And just like Michelle says, the only way we are going to end this war against evil is by collapsing that duality within ourselves. Because once we do that, we reach a state of 0 point energy. And when we do that, we actually reflect it in the external. And I think that once enough people begin to do that, it's going to cause an automatic shift for the rest of humanity, even for those that are unawakened. And I think that's what the solar flash is all about. It's about us doing the work and then triggering the final release from the sun in order to catapult everyone into this new heaven on earth, which is already here. It's already here. You know, it's all around us, just like Jesus said. It's just a vibrational frequency away. And so we have to like match up with that frequency in order to begin to experience everything that we've ever desired in life.
I want to point out too that, we have been very traumatized here.
Yes, we have.
People do need to come into the awareness. It's not about fighting. It's not about fight, flight, freeze anymore. We've been told to work with what we had, but now we can express something better. Now we can surrender all the negative thought, feeling, wills, or emotions and enter into pure glory. And whenever you surrender, I know that's a scary word for many because it's a whole lot harder to surrender and to accept that I'm not crazy for surrendering, surrendering into that intuition that's coming through, surrendering into release of whatever needs to come through you in that moment, surrendering into, because every time you surrender, you make room for something new. You let go of something that was no longer serving, and you welcome something new. And the universe has to fill the void. It cannot not fill the void. So when you let something go, remember, every time you cry something out, you've just made a whole new space for something miraculous to enter back in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just went through that, letting a couple of things go. But I'll tell you what, when that does happen, I am happier. I'm smiling more. I'm in love with living, and how much more beautiful can you get with, with that? And once you once you do that, I think you start becoming a magnet and attracting like attracts like, all the spiritual laws and so on and so forth. But I'm sure that both of you have been talking about for the last 3 years, and I think a lot of people now know about that. So, this is not going to go to the geopolitical side of things, but more with the humanity side of things. There's going to be stuff coming up with the fear factors, if you will. And when you talked about, people always saying use discernment. I always said that's not a bumper sticker. People throw it around so easily. We're going to have to kind of watch our energy, watch how we feel. If we turn on the TV, or not everybody's significant other, there's going to be one in the house that watches Fox News or whatever it might be. And we are going to have to learn to work with those different energies, our energies. You know what I'm saying? And that, I think, is what we came here and what we all signed up for. Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. It was like pre-contractual, our higher selves. When we decided to embody the third dimension, and we did it because we were powerful enough to alchemize the dense energies that the planet has been experiencing for the last thousands and thousands of years, in order to prepare the Earth for the golden age that we are creating. So
yeah, everyone should be so blessed to be watching. Everyone who's watching are part of that army, or else you wouldn't be tuning in. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are one of God's chosen.
Exactly.
Everyone, I know we could all sit around and be like, well, I lost my family and I don't have, you know what I mean? I feel so alone. I'm this outcast now. I'm swimming upstream. But no, you're part of God's chosen. You're creating the shift that humanity so desperately wanted and needed. And you came here with that intention. And now you're just expressing yourself as the perfect divine expression of just only you. Only you can be that expression. And you can go as big or as small as you want. It's all a matter of scale. Exactly. Just like gratitude. You can be grateful for just having electricity in your house, or you can be grateful for, having an impact on other people's lives. It's just, or even the blessings coming like through now. It's just, there's so much that we can now focus on that we're being given. And I just, if anybody out there still doesn't know that we won this war, look at all the secrets of the universe just pouring out on YouTube right now. I mean, you really think we didn't lose this? I mean, YouTube of all places.
Yeah. I actually heard Patriot Underground giving the lay of the land. It's almost like he's got the plan and what's going to happen and everything else. And there are I'm sure there are going to be some chess moves in between that. But yeah, we've already won this, you guys. God wins all the time.
Exactly.
Well, it's
Yes.
been a dark time. I mean, it has been dark. And when you do come out of the matrix and you realize how much maybe you were stuffing away for a later date when you had a time when you could come out of war. And coming out of war is a choice. It is choosing to come out into the peaceful resonance of what your divine wants you to be. You know, your true divine essence. And that was shocking for me. I couldn't believe it took a whole year. I couldn't believe how much of myself I had lost, you know, throughout life, just living life, trying to be the perfect mom and trying to be the perfect everything. Oh my gosh, the amount of pressure that I was putting on myself based on what the Matrix told me I was supposed to be day in and day out versus just think of a child. A child walks in a room and he picks up a toy and he's like, oh, this one looks like fun.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You know,
I'm
supposed
going
to be
to
simple.
throw this question out to you is in reference to what Michelle just happened to mention that there was a lot of casualties in this war from, you know, this thing here. And that's the devastating part. It's almost as like we all knew that we came here. We, you know, the way that I look at it is we have this agreement before we incarnated with our soul family. And we said, you know, when we agreed, when we were just this beautiful spark of light, before we took on this body, if you will. And we said, well, we're going to lose so much of the family through all this, but that's going to be your biggest hurdle because it's coming from the heart and it's love, and everything else outside of us probably won't matter anymore. How do you talk to someone from a spiritual perspective of them trying to 3 years into this? And I do this myself, and this is one of the reasons why I'm asking. I lost my mother, and then 9 months later was my sister. And I truly believe this is back in 2017 that they were messing around with this stuff with people testing back then. Mm-hmm. And before we all got to the 2020 year, because everybody that I know went quickly. They were just out of here. How do you talk to people on a spiritual level about, you know, moving forward and talking about our own spiritual things and getting into a really good place, because sometimes that can be our continuous tragedy, if you will, because I still talk to my mother every day and I still talk to my sister and my father. But, you know, it's lonely. It really is.
Well, part of the programming that we've all been under is the idea that death is the end of it all, and that's not true. If death is just a transition, the spirit is immortal, the spirit lives on, and as long as you have that understanding, you know that you didn't lose your mother. Your mother still lives. She's just in a different dimension. She's probably in a better body, you know. And I've always believed that those that have passed within the last 10 to 20 years are already there in the fifth dimensional earth waiting for us, and with their new bodies as we transfigure into our new bodies as well. So we will be seeing our loved ones again. And that includes pets too, guys. If you guys had a dog or a cat or a hamster that passed away within the last few years, yes, you know, animals are going to also exist in the fifth dimensional earth. It's not just going to be human. Think of the fifth dimensional earth as physical as this earth, but not as dense. And also very vibrant, and everything in harmony, everything cooperating, like the billions of cells in your body all cooperating to make your body function. That's fifth dimensional reality. It's the state of living in cooperation with all living things as one harmonious ecosystem. And that's what we are returning to. I lost my mother when I was 16, and back then I didn't have this understanding, so I mourned for many years. It wasn't until I was in my early 20s, after discovering Kriya Kundalini Yoga, that I came to the realization that she's not dead. You know, death is the biggest illusion. And even the higher civilizations and the ET societies that are operating from higher dimensions know that death is just a transition. You know, they all celebrate when somebody passes, because there's different lifespans depending on the different types of advanced civilizations. So even if they live for thousands of years in one body, or hundreds of thousands of years, there's still a transitioning point when they decide to leave the body. And what they do is they actually celebrate that. So we got it backwards here on the third dimension. We mourn, right? We get upset. But in the higher dimensions, when people transition, or when they're ready to leave their avatar to go into a better avatar, what they do is they celebrate that. It's a celebration rather than a
Morning.
grieving process. Yeah, mourning process. So it's more of a celebration. And so, yeah, that's one of the things that we have to
I
overcome.
know firsthand that they're not gone because I've been talking to them for not just my family, but the other side for so long. I know that the higher my vibration is, the thinner the veil is, if you will. And 9/11.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
9/11 was a perfect example that I was so in tune to that TV that I had some of the firemen coming to me. And I had a spiritual teacher at that time, and I said, how do I turn this off? I couldn't. I was so obsessed with it. But I wanted to help them. A lot of them were lost. A lot of them were confused, so on and so forth. So I know for a fact. But at the same time, it's like we want the physical, right? We want the physical. But I love your explanation, Ishmael, about that. With that, in the near future, we're going to see him again. And that's what we all have to have in our heart. And they don't want to see us sitting around crying, right?
No, if anything, they're in a better state or a better reality than we are because they transitioned earlier. So they're probably looking at us saying, I hope you guys pull through. Don't lose your hope. You guys are coming. You guys are coming eventually. And the difference is that you guys won't be tasting death like we did. You guys are just going to be transfigured and transformed into new beings.
Sorry,
even if people don't believe fully what Ishmael just said, which way is better? You have to ask yourself now, which way brings me the most light and joy of thinking? Which way of thinking? Is it to mourn or is it to celebrate? Which is better? Pick. Just choose it. Because when you choose the better way, every single time it will make your life better. And you're right. Our loved ones don't want us to mourn for life. They don't want us to stop the way we're living or to make us feel like we've got to spend the rest of our lives feeling guilty about something we maybe think we could have controlled. Their journey is their journey. Their life path and their, beginning and end, start and finish in this life is their journey. It's not under our control per se. So when you accept a whole new belief system that makes you happier, you should just accept it because it's better. So I started to evaluate, like, okay, I don't have any proof of where we go when we die. No one does. But it would make me feel a whole lot calmer to know that they're going to a better place and that we are celebrating their life versus mourning. So I think people need to start evaluating every thought that comes through, be like, oh, is that better? Is that a better way? Because if it's making you better, the answer is yes. Choose it.
Well, Wayne Dyer always used to say, my day is going to be filled with joy, and if you're going to bring anything else to me, I don't want to have anything to do with you. He was as blunt as that, and it's kind of like if you're coming to me with a lot of negativity, I don't have time for that because who wants to go into those individual negative, low vibrational things on a daily basis? We are where we choose and where we decide to be every single day when we wake up. Anything else you guys want to share with us? We've got about another 15 minutes, and I'd love to hear whatever else that you guys have to say, or if you want to take questions from the community, we could also do that.
Well, let's engage with our audience and our listeners. I say we take questions, unless Michelle, you want to say something else.
No, I'm fully down for that. I just I'm up for whatever. I don't have anything new.
I always like to include our social.
Anybody has any questions now? I'm going to keep an eye over on Rumble here because it's split screens, if you will. You can't see the comments coming into Rumble, but if I see a really good one that somebody has for you, I will try to put it in this chat here. It'll probably say energy healing and truth, or turn the page before the question, but there's a little bit of a delay and more of a delay on Rumble, so we're going to give some people some time. Please put a big Q in front so that I know it is a question, and please form it in a phrase of a question, if you will, with a question mark. All right, so I just don't see that it is a statement. Let's see here. Questions, anybody? We'll just give them a minute there. This is just a statement for now. Come on, you guys aren't that shy. We got two of the best panel here. You have no questions. Let's see what we're going here. I'm checking out Rumble here. All right. Yeah, Ronnie is making a statement here. Hi, caps are nice for questions. You can do that. Okay, we have the first one out there. Now, you guys don't know this. Ishmael and I have a co-host, and he is in Spain. He's from Spain, and he's traveling through Spain. He happens to be in France right now. And this is Louis Hanshaw. He actually wrote the opening song that you hear in every time I go live. Now, I just wanted to introduce you to him. He tried to come in here, but because he's traveling, his Wi-Fi was really weak. But he says, question for Ishmael: how do we avoid AI when so many businesses are incorporated into regular programs such as Photoshop, generative fill? There must be a package, a software package.
Well, one of the things that I've been warning people about is the engagement with artificial intelligence, because when you begin to engage with AI, you build a relationship with AI, and it gets to the point where you begin to depend on AI to pretty much do all your work for you, and that, in a sense, will just make you how can I say it? It'll make you dependent on it and more lazier. So the whole purpose, I guess, to answer your question is, it's best to do things on your own. I know AI could probably create a website within minutes, and which would probably take you hours. But the whole purpose is to engage your mind, to keep your mind functioning and working, because we don't want to depend on artificial intelligence. Because in the end, artificial intelligence is designed to replace humanity. So that's the ultimate agenda here. So it's best to not engage with AI and to continue using your own creative abilities in your own noggin or your own mind.
Yeah,
You're not kind of an interesting question on that same. I'd like to ask Ishmael a question as well on that same note. We talked about the quantum financial system and how maybe that's even off-world technology that brings about a utopian society. But that still means that we're dependent on computers in order to create peace in our society. Will we eventually no longer need a QFS?
Yes, the QFS, which is a living quantum technology, not artificial, it's actually a living biotech using crystals, is only going to be existing in the fourth D Earth. But for those that go into the fifth D and above, because we are going to have an opportunity to go into higher dimension than the fifth density, we're going to be our own technology. We're going to be using the inner software that Greg Braden has been talking about. It's going to be activated. And when we use our inner software, we're going to be like natural replicators. We're going to be able to manifest things at the speed of light with our own thought force. So we're not going to depend on external technology for those that go into the fifth or above dimensions. So yeah, the quantum financial system will only be existing in the fourth dimension.
Okay, so I just want to take a second here. One more question. I think Neo just put the last one. We've got 6 lined up. I think we're going to get through 6. I want my guests to feel like whatever time that they need to go, they can go. But I've got 6 of them. Well, let's just go for 7. 7 always seems to be a good number. So let me get into those. And the way that we could do this is if Ishmael answers one, and Michelle, if you want to add to it, and then the second one Michelle would, and so on and so forth. How's that? All right, so here's the first one. This is from Neo. Question: what type of ET was Enki? Is that how you pronounce Enki?
Enki. Yeah, Enki. Enki was part humanoid or part galactic humanoid Syrian, and through his mother, he was part draconian reptilian. He was also known as Poseidon to the Greeks, and he was also known as the Great Trickster and the master geneticist that downgraded the original Adamic Orphan angelic race that existed during the days of Atlantis.
Okay.
In order to create a slave race, which explains why we've been under the control of a cabal, which was a system that he, through his children, imposed or inserted after they infiltrated Atlantis. But now that's being reverted because their time is up.
Any additional comments, Michelle?
Wasn't he also an Anunnaki? There were good and bad Anunnaki. I think a lot of people are now realizing that Anunnaki is really similar to humans. There were good, there were evil, there were fallen, there were those that fought for us, that loved us. And wasn't it? So it was Enki and his brother Enlil.
Enlil, yeah. Enlil was Zeus. Yeah, he
And so
was.
he loved the human race. So
Yes,
it was brother and brother, but one loved the human race and one wanted to create a slave race.
exactly. And it's just so unfortunate that they inverted and they modified the Sumerian tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, in order to make the good guy look like the bad guy and the bad guy look like the good guy. So that's causing a huge controversy right now in the disclosure community. And I'm not going to mention any names, but there is one particular person who is channeling Enki, and she considers herself a galactic emissary, and she's saying that Enki is our father, genetic father, and that he's returned. And what she's really doing is she's setting up the stage for a returned savior. And again, that is just another religion. We are all our own saviors. There is no ET that is going to save us. We have the immortal genetic holy grail blueprint existing within our dormant DNA. There's no technology that's going to give us immortality. It's already within us. It's called the God source gene. All we have to do is activate it through the spiritual work. So that way we don't depend on external sources.
Yeah, I think the Enki and Nil, just so everyone knows, I don't know. I don't know who is good or evil. It's all information coming out. And so the discernment, I have not researched, just so everyone knows. Yeah.
That's great, because I'm learning from both of you. You guys are my spiritual teachers in this today. So this is, it says Ascension Goddess. I think that's the name. I copied this one over, I think. It says, Ishmael, can you talk more about, or Mickey, more about the Enlil and the Galactic Wars?
Do you want to go first, Nikki, or?
I'm new to all this research. Like, I've been watching Billy Carson just killing it lately. I don't know if you're in agreement with his research or not. All I know is we are finally able to expand into the vast unknown of information and technology that have been kept from us. So everyone just needs to keep an open mind. Don't get too upset or uptight. Put everything on a shelf. When you continue to get information that verifies information, then you bring it into your belief system. But right now, we're just talking about stuff, just talking. That's all I would say to people that, are maybe get worked up.
Just having a conversation.
Just having a conversation. We're just exploring.
Right. So in
Go ahead.
terms of Enlil Zeus, he was actually, after the fall of Atlantis, him and some other deity, what we call deities, really what they were is they were guardian races. They were part of an extraterrestrial function that had to do with the protection of our galaxy. They went off to fight the multiverse war against the AI god, and that's where Enlil Zeus has been this whole time. And that's why Enki and his son Marduk kind of took over the affairs of the earth. But it is believed that the galactic wars, due to our own super soldiers, have been won in favor of the light. So as far as like the conflict up in space or in other universes, the dark side already lost. So we won the war on every level, not just here on the earth. And that explains why the earth is soon going to be liberated.
Okay.
I will say this. There was a point in time where I was like, we don't need a savior. We can save ourselves. But the fact is, we are a collective. So if it wasn't for the white hats coming in and eradicating a lot of the evil on this earth, I don't know that we would be in this state to be able to enter into pure ascension. I'm just going to say that because I am really, really grateful for everything that the white hats have done on this earth plane in eradicating evil. And a lot of people feel like, well, this is just such a horror show. I can't believe this was all happening underground and so on. But guys, that evil was already happening. You're just now becoming aware of it. We have less evil on the planet right now than we did just 4 years ago because of those that have stepped up, as a human race to save us, to set us free. So I really don't want to discredit that. I really do. I want to make sure that I share my inner story. And that is that, yes, I believe that we can do a lot as a person. We can do a lot in our own communities. But if we didn't come together military was the only way. If we didn't come together as a collective, a certain size collective to bring about this change, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Exactly. I agree with you. And I think the only reason why the White Hats were able to tilt the scales since 2016, because, the witch Clinton, I'm not going to mention her name, starts with an H. If she would have won that election, we would all already been doomed. But there was a monkey wrench that was thrown to the election by, Mr. T, promoted by the White Hats, supported by the White Hats, in order to prolong that. And so, in order to, bring us into this state where we are now, ready for this great awakening that is about to take place, and of course the Great Solar Flash. But yeah, I strongly agree. It's because of us that the White Hats were able to do what they did, and really just kind of tilt the scales of power. So
Beautiful. I'm going to throw this other question out. It's on the screen, and it's Neo again. Neo asked a lot of questions. How was the Great Pyramids made? Either one of you want to take that, or both of you may.
go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I don't know. I'm still learning. All I know is that it's very unlikely that they were moved, that these stones were moved into position. It's probably all been done on sound frequency and vibration. And obviously they had a very deep understanding of where the ley lines were, how Tesla towers work, or how energy towers work. It's built on a quartz crystal, which is where, again, Dolores Cannon also was on a quartz crystal when she was doing her work near Missouri. I don't know the exact town she was working in, but when you have the perfect condition under the perfect clay line, obviously they had set up a communication pathway. And I'm fascinated to learn more about what they were using the pyramids for. But yeah, how they were made, you can take that one too, Ishmael, if you want.
Well, you're right, absolutely, Michelle. They were made by using sound frequency, advanced technology dealing with sound frequency, capable of levitating, megaton blocks and stones, and then using sacred geometry based on the ley lines that they were built upon, to bring in those stones at such a perfect mathematical, you could say, precision, aligned to the different star systems in which these builders came from. So obviously they were built by off-world entities.
I always thought it was the giants. Was this prior to the giants coming here, the big people?
Well, there are different types of giants. There are benevolent giants, and then there's the Nephilim. The Nephilim are the giants that are associated with Enki and the Igigi, which are a group of rays that worked on the moon when Enki was kind of in charge of the Earth experiment, and when everything went south and we went from full consciousness to limited consciousness. But so there's two types of giants. There's the benevolent giants, which are associated with an ancient builder race. And they come from Sirius C, I believe. And then there's also the Nephilim, which are an abomination that was created when the followers of the fallen angels had sex with women on Earth, and then created these Nephilim. So those are the negative ones.
And this is from a Neo saying thank you for those answers. Let's see here. This is a good one, and I'm gonna put this one up here. And it says, "Are we supposed to remember our past lives? Because a lot of people don't."
I think the way it was all set up is for us to not remember our past lives, because if we knew who we were before we incarnated, how else would we learn through the challenges that we all have? I think it was meant for us to really forget who we are, but to then remember through our progress, through our challenges that life has to offer. So it was all pre-contractual by our higher self, in order for us to find ourselves. Otherwise, it would defeat the purpose of coming into the matrix. If our memories were fully intact, it wouldn't humble us. In other words, we wouldn't be humble.
Yeah. Michelle, did you have one? Or I got another one another question here. This is coming from Sassy. It says, now this is interesting because this question's been thrown out so many times and so many different people, and there's a different interpretation. So I guess we'll ask you, you brilliant people, 144,000 is the number of people of frequencies that some people can hear, that's a question mark. Is 144,000? If I know there's so much information you can take with the 144, but you guys just give your interpretation. We've got about another 5 minutes or so.
Well, in Revelation chapter 14, it says that there'd be a new song that would start playing through the harps, and that only those that were awakened souls would be able to hear the new song or the new frequency. And we are entering into, from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And so I believe that the frequency has changed. And so for those of us who awakened early or activated early, yes, we were tuning into the new frequency of the new earth and the new time. And I think that a lot of the signs and the symbols in the heavens have, we become aware. Even though they were always there, we're just now becoming aware of it because we're hearing the new sound. Now, the 144 comes across in so many other ways. I mean, it's literally like, sacred geometry number. There's so many ways that you can look at 144. But for me, I feel like it is a resonance. I believe we're becoming aware of divine things. We're coming into our divinity. We are being raptured. And if you look that up, it literally says it's just becoming aware of what was always there, becoming aware of divine things. So for those of you who are being raptured right now, we are just the lucky ones that got to activate first into God's kingdom of heaven on earth.
I agree, yes. And it's not just 144,000 literal individuals. It's millions of us who are part of the 144,000 frequency. Because Michelle's right, it is a hertz that we are all kind of creating together just by merely existing and doing our work here on the earth. So
beautiful. I just love you two together. That's why. And Ishmael, I know it was a surprise for me to bring Mickey in, and I just knew that the two of you, and I always know this about the chemistry of a lot of spiritual people out there, and I love to always have a beautiful round table with them. I am so honored to have both of you here. I love to have both of you back again. And before we say, good night to everybody, I just want to know if there's anything either both of you want to share with this beautiful community, keeping the hopes and the joy and everything else, and what you think we have coming real soon.
I just think that if we are still here, it's because we are the ones that maybe were strong enough to stay. So start looking at timelines as a blessing. Start looking at them. Don't look at like, oh, when's it going to come? Why hasn't it come yet? Why isn't it, and start taking some personal responsibility for timelines not coming through yet. The more we do that inner work, the more that we help others, the more that we start to dissolve the duality, the more that we enter into that pure frequency of peace, pure light, pure joy. The more we do that and the more we create that as part of our full day, not just 15 minutes of the day, but the full day, the more we create that resonance. And I don't think people realize the power of their one, just your soul on this earth. There's so much electromagnetic power that you have, and that you're creating alchemy at all times. And as you open up your energy centers and you continue to just let go and surrender completely into that flow, completely into it, like just surrender completely. If you're tired for a day, lay down. Just stop fighting it. If you want to meditate for a while, do it. Just take it. Take it.
Child, go to bed.
Self-love, you guys. Self-love is where it's at. Just do it. It's not about pushing forward or fighting or freezing or anything. It's about just surrendering into what God has in store for you, what the universe is creating for us right now, right here. That will open each of your electric energy centers. It puts out signals to the universe, the macroverse, and beyond. So when people really come into their power, really, it will create the shift.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself, Michelle. You pretty much nailed it on the spot. Yeah, I agree with everything she said. It's all about surrendering and really not forcing things, but just allowing things and going with the flow too. There's time for everything, guys. There's going to be a time to meditate. There's going to be a time to sleep. There's going to be a time to go out there and, do whatever it is that your body wants you to do. But most importantly, listen to your body. And as we begin to build and establish communication with the divine, you will also come to communicate with your cells and your inner body, your organs. They're all conscious, by the way. You're going to be more in tune with what your body needs and when it needs it by establishing that connection with God. Because when you think about it, God is all around us and it is within us. It's not just one thing, it's everything. All things that are living is a part of that unity, universal awareness that we are all a part of. So the more you build a relationship with that, the more you're going to be in tune with your body, and the more you can also be in tune with others of like-minded frequencies. And so, yeah, step into your power. Um, don't let anybody ever tell you that you are limited, that you are weak, because you're not. It took the strongest of souls to come here, and that's what you are. So be proud of yourself. You are a warrior. You are a hero. If you're a female, you're a heroine. And every single one of you guys is the embodiment of God. And just remember that. Don't give your power away ever. And who cares what people say? Um, if I cared and worried about what the negative people have been saying about me, Ishmael just came out of nowhere and he was everywhere. Could be a CIA plant. He's cabal. He's AI. I wouldn't be doing this anymore. I'd just quit. But because I understand that there's going to be haters, or there are just going to be people out there who don't resonate with my work, even though thousands of people resonate with my work. To me, it's all about the impact that I'm having on those few hundred thousands that are actually that are being uplifted by my work than those few people that are making commentaries and calling me cabal and AI and stuff. That's why it's just, I don't worry about nothing, guys. I know who I am, and I just, to me, it's all about the people that I'm helping, and that's what matters to me.
I love that. He stays focused on what he wants.
Hold on a second, Mickey. I just want to ask, and you're going to get two questions for you. But Ishmael, what do you have coming up next? What's in the pipeline for you?
Well, right now, I think I'm off for about a month and a half, so I'm going to just focus on my own spiritual development. I'm going to be going inward more than anything, because for the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've been doing conference after conference. But I think my next conference is in September, and that's going to be Alien Con in Las Vegas, where I will be giving a thorough presentation on the different advanced civilizations, the different galactic councils, and a brief history of our galaxy and where we're at as far as the Earth's ascension is concerned.
Fantastic. We all look forward to that. So you guys keep your eyes and ears open for September for Ishmael. Now, Michelle, you have two things. What do you want to say to the people in closing here? And also the follow-up is, what do you have coming up, if you have anything, or just share that with us?
Well, I feel like when I truly surrendered into this time space, I kind of just told God, use me. I have all sorts of skills, just use me. And he changes his mind often. So that's why I feel a little bit like a queen on a chessboard. I move all over the place. So that's why people can't always keep up. And sometimes they get annoyed. Like, they're like, why'd you just leave our group? Why, because I'm being moved. And so I would tell everyone, just let God move you. Just start
kind of like the runaway spiritual bride, right?
Totally. I'm just like, I'll go wherever I want to go. How about that? No, I would just say this. This is a huge, I think, ending sort of statement. We all talk about how to be positive, and we're all saying be positive, but that does not mean that you're supposed to negate or ignore the things that are truly burdening you. When you start going into identifying what is burdening me so that I can get to the bottom of it, that's when you can start to release it. So when you go into what am I carrying as the biggest burden today? How can I release that? You're going to get a lot of feedback from the universe on how to release it, where it came from, why it was there, why the program can now change, how you can start changing your thought patterns or belief patterns around that thing that was burdening you. And that is huge. That's not only a way that you can practice self-love, but it's a way that you can practice love to one another. You can go to your loved ones and say, what is truly burdening you right now? Because I have an intention of helping you release that. We have all been prisoners in a way. We have been enslaved in this world. Whether you knew it or not, we've signed contracts with the enemy. And we did. In fact, even in America, we signed over our estate. We signed over our children. We signed over our land. We have entered into contracts that have now been all negated, null and void, because they've all been, dissolved. These corporations have been dissolved that we were in contracts with. But I believe that that really, truly does matter. And as we continue to help each other move out of a state of fight, flight, freeze, move into a state of pure surrender into our divinity, we do have to address those programs at play in the mind, will, emotion. And one way to bypass mind, will, emotion programming is to go into the 5D. To trust that in the 5D, you're free, you're sovereign. She for me is a she, but maybe for Shmuel's a man. It's my sovereign soul. It's my oversoul. She always knows what's right for me, and she always knows how to help me release burdens. So start relying on your 5D. That's the whole point. Is we're here to learn how to become, a pure light being.
Thank you.
To dissolve matter and to dissolve. So, you have 4 bodies. I consider them 4 bodies. You've got your physical body, you've got your ethereal body, or your astral. Then you've got your emotional consciousness, and then you've got your ethereal. And we're all moving through each of those planes now to release the burdens, to come out of trauma, to even dissolve trauma from past lives and from past generations, passed down through the DNA, because it's real. It is real. We're not just here saying, hey, get up and shine and act like nothing's wrong. Because the truth is, you're coming out of a very thick matrix that was all based on mind control and turning us against each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, I do have an audio version of my book for those that would rather listen to it. It's about 11 hours long. And because my book did become a bestseller 3 times last year, Amazon is doing a thing where for people who don't have a membership with Amazon, I guess it's like a 30-day free trial. If you sign up on the 30-day free trial and you buy you get my book for $0, meaning for free, as long as you, of course, cancel at the end of the 30 days, they won't charge you anything the second month. You actually get to keep my audio version absolutely free. You don't have to pay for it. Just to let you guys know, that's what they told me.
Did they get your voiceover?
Say that again.
Did you do the voiceover?
No, I had to hire a professional. Yeah, I didn't have time with all the conferences that I was scheduled to attend. I didn't have time to do my own voiceover.
No worries. I just figured, bonus, everyone to get your voice. But I feel bad. I do have another meeting I was supposed to be in about 10 minutes ago, so I got to run. But it was such a pleasure to see both of you finally.
I appreciate it. Take care. We love you all. And you guys, thank you for joining the TTP family. Ishmael, first time here, but not the last, I hope. And Mickey, we hope to see you real soon, too. Bye now, everybody. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Now we turn the page. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.